but they will be a lot harder to get than Skyrim.
Okay, guys, welcome to this stream. Cameras there. We are going to have a look at Skyblivion because it's one of the best modding projects that are out there by far and one of the largest. So let's just drop in and listen to the developers and chill together. And yeah, let's have a listen.
What was in Oblivion refreshed all in the same way and into as a Skyrim mod, but it's an area that is absolutely ripe for either anyone on the team or anyone else in the modding community to come afterwards and add in their own followers.
So little intro maybe. Of course, Skyblivion is the modding project where they basically take Oblivion and update it to the Skyrim engine. And they call it Skyblivion. It's a really long-standing modding project, I think for about 10 years now or something. This project exists. And they're quite far already with the project.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things. Like the name of the game for us right now is honestly, to focus on the MVP. The MVP for us is the minimal viable product, so that means the version of Skyblivion that we are comfortable with releasing. I think there's 100 things we would like to do different, that we'd like to add, that we'd like to change, but at the end of the day, we can't keep working on this forever. At some point, you gotta say it's done. And that's really what we're working towards now. We're working towards wrapping up all the projects that we have going on internally.
Yeah. I truly, as a music producer, I know what he's talking about there. You can always continue, and like, when is it that you do too much? There's also that point can be easily reached. So often it is truly about that, like when to stop. Also in such a big collaborative project, I reckon it's when is the right moment to finally release it to the public.
Projects can be 3D artists working on city architecture, both internal or interior and exterior, so that the level designers can fit.
The game ultimately will come out with really outdated graphics in a way, but then it's a modding project and it will of course have mod support. So then you can say, okay, alright, you know what, make it as beautiful as you want to. And it is still beautiful in my opinion.
Finish making whatever locations are connected to that. For the quest guys to wrap up quests and allow us to start testing them and trying to break them. At some point, it's time to focus on those things, and that's really what we're doing now.
So I saw there was a question about how the installation process and/or download will work. For where you're gonna download or where we host it, that's to be discussed. But if you know how Tales of Two Wastelands works, it's basically the same for us. It's gonna be a installer. You download it, you will go through the process, choose your Oblivion installation source and your Skyrim installation, and it will just go through it as a regular game installation, essentially.
I've seen a couple questions pop up about seeing Cheydinhal. I think, and a few people asking why they haven't seen Cheydinhal before in gameplay. I think the honest answer to that is that it's not very far along in development compared to the other cities.
So, a little bit about my story with Oblivion maybe. I played the heck out of it when it came out on Xbox 360 back in the day because I didn't have a viable PC. And I really loved it. Not only me, also friends of mine really loved it. I remember how they really liked to come to my place to play it on my Xbox 360. It was a great game with great memories, but definitely some things that, are a little bit outdated. I actually recently replayed a little bit of it, and it is quite enjoyable, but you know, you certainly feel that it's like a game that is way older than a decade, so you can feel that. That is no question. For sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong on
Yeah,
that, Kyle.
yeah.
Oh, Reed,
We're
what's that?
we're kind of going there now. We also seem to be having an issue with loading textures, which is again one of the reasons why there's a 2025 date stamped on the trailer and not tomorrow.
2025. That's not good. Oh my god, still so long. I wish it would come out this year.
Which most likely has to do with a lot of the textures that we have in the game being quite high resolution, to the point where it's probably a bit too high.
Yeah. We're gonna
and-
have to go over it.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to do in the final stage of development, where you start looking over everything you have and seeing what needs to be changed, improved, added. And this is definitely one of the areas that needs to be improved. It's actually one of the areas I'm working on starting this year. So we'll be adding a lot more detail to this.
Those projects, they just go on forever, and it's incredible that they're working for 10 years, and you know, this is how it looks. It definitely doesn't look finished at all. We're like, there are so many layers. There's the quest design, there's this, there's that. There is the open world, of course, to build, but that's just one part, and they're not even done with the modeling. But they seem very determined, and that's the most important thing.
Soon, which actually will be streamed for quite a bit, as per usual, which is a good segue into letting you know that there's a good couple of people in the Skyblivion team who stream development on Twitch. If you go to Twitch, you will find a stream team called The Adventurers, which is where all of our developers are residing, myself included. Also, shout out to people on Twitch. Thanks for always supporting us. It's always very much appreciated. So here we have Cheydinhall in its current state. It's been worked on by D-Keys.
There is no
Then it's been
people
worked
at
on by
all.
Kero,
Okay.
And currently it's being worked on by myself. I would say it's fairly far along. The biggest change we still have to make is the castle courtyard. So this area is going to be changed up to allow for carts to go into the castle, and there will be a big training ground for the guards in this spot. One of the very cool designs from D-Keys was to actually move the cathedral to be dead center in the middle. So when you come in through the city, you'll have a very nice view of the beautiful cathedral in the distance, which I quite like. The architecture is currently being worked on by one of the new members of the team. Actually.
It looks quite different than the original, which I like.
So
makes
we have
makes it
the way we work in Skyblivion is a bit odd and unique. For a lot of the 3D assets, we actually use the Oblivion models. So we convert the Oblivion models and then we use them as placeholders until we can recreate them, which allows us to continue working without having to wait for new models to be made. It's an effective way for us to not waste time, because otherwise, you'd be here waiting for quite a while, I'm afraid.
So when we will make a new model to replace the placeholder, which would be the Oblivion model, we'll make something that takes up the same world space but is a different asset.
Yeah, someone says the city looks great, but the roads out the city look medium. I wouldn't worry about that now. Like I said, the city is still in development, so there will be a lot more detailing and polishing on this. Having said that, though, people always ask if we can show the Dark Brotherhood Sanctum, which we actually plan on doing today with D-Keys. who is one of the lead level designers and the person who worked on the Sanctuary. Unfortunately, Diki is sick. He got sick today of all days, but I will do my best regardless to show off his work. Spoiler alert, I don't know the place inside and out like he does, so bear with me as I stumble through the dark.
So I've seen a lot of requests for us go to the specific locations. We'll see if we have time for that today, because we already have a schedule, as it were.
Sorry, question. Yes, you will need to own both Skyrim and Oblivion to play them on.
Which really is not a big deal, because I mean, most likely you all own them anyway, and I certainly own them.
First thing you may notice, we're not very wanted. Problem is, we are currently not part of the Dark Brotherhood, so normally in the game you're not able to get to this location. We have used console commands to cheat our way in, so I need to stay clear from the NPCs, otherwise they will kick me out. But that's actually, what am I doing? This is the room with the ominous door and the statue of Sithis.
That also looks very different from how I remember it, at least. Although I don't really remember it that well.
Which you also saw in the trailer. Here in the trailer you were welcomed by the Dark Brotherhood into their family. But like I said, we are not invited. We are breaking in.
And we saw they put the most important item right in the middle of the sanctuary there, which is the
Need
carpet.
to practice more. Welcome to the family. I'd hug you, but Ochiva told me not to.
No accounting for it. Sad, really.
It's worth mentioning, you said before about the Dark Brotherhood not being very welcoming at the moment because you've consoled into the cell. At the moment, in the build, as a side effect of
That looks so cool.
Transitioning from Oblivion's disposition system with the spinning wheel, all of the NPCs start with a disposition of 0, so most NPCs will talk to you like they absolutely hate you.
I just love it from a role-playing perspective. That just everyone in the world just starts off hating you.
It's not very logical.
It is fun because you hear a lot of dialogue that you never know exists in Oblivion because it's hard to get NPCs to dislike you this much in Oblivion.
So then why did you do it?
Like Argonians will just aggressively hiss at you.
Someone had a good question about the orc being white. I'm currently missing what is called face generation. So he essentially has a bug where his face shows up in a different color than it should be until I have his face data in the game. So sharp eye, but it's not really anything to worry about. Having said that, the city is very work in progress. We've showed you a taste, and I hope you will stick around, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and check out our dev diaries, because that is where we will show the final results in the near future. But for now, I will take us to the next location. Fun fact, actually, this mage character is also using a model from Oblivion, which Cynthia, who is one of our main statue artists, has started working on, and it looks magnificent. I'm really looking forward to seeing that that statue finished properly now.
Wow, there's a lot of locations.
Right, our next location will actually be Hell's Gate, near the Heartlands. In the Heartlands, actually. And here we have more lovely artwork. The artwork itself was made by Furion, who has done artwork for other projects as well. And like I mentioned earlier, it was implemented by Doiksong, who is here with us today.
I spent an awful lot of time taking these artworks and putting them all into squares. I think might have taken years of my life. But definitely worth it. Definitely worth
Yeah, I was gonna say, how worth it though?
Oh,
was
100% worth it. I did ever think of something we could show off, Kyle, which I don't think we show off much on screen, and that might be if there's a good opportunity to maybe go through some of the general inventory clutter assets. So mugs and plates and forks and stuff that's generally not maybe flashy enough.
I hate to break it, but I don't have any clutter on me. But we're gonna be visiting Leywin later as well, which does have a good bit of clutter in and around some of the locations.
Brilliant. And fair warning to the chat. There might be some stuff which jumps and jiggles around while we sort out the collision. So we've primarily focused on getting the new assets into the game, and then when we're happy with how it's all interacting, there's a few things which we need to fix. They're down on our bug tracker.
The map will be replaced with a paper map. Sorry, Scott. Yes, the map will be replaced with a paper map like Oblivion, yes.
I've seen a couple questions about the Painted World quest. I believe the quest is for the most part done and implemented, but we don't have the assets or the world space finished at this point. So anything we have to show you wouldn't look particularly nicer than what you experience in Oblivion. Just a prettier lighting. Got a question about the Grand Champion armor. Do you have that, Kyle?
I do, yeah. Okay. That's too bad.
They just spawned a deer.
Yeah, so it's the what's it called?
Daedric Deer, confirmed.
Skull of Corruption. It's supposed to create an identical clone of the target, which attacks them, but I guess maybe it doesn't work on wolves. I've seen it work on other creatures, actually. Golden Brand will do just fine, I think.
Do you have Horomis ice staff on hand, Kyle? That's something I worked on that I'm quite proud of, and it had its moment in the trailer.
I do, actually. It was shown off in the trailer, yeah.
There we go. Look how shiny and sparkly it is. Beautiful ice effect. So this was all made in Blender, so you don't need any fancy software.
What might be good to mention is that there's currently a lack of NPC AI, or at least the AI packages are there, like the wolf has its AI packages, but because of a lack of nav mesh, it can't attack us at the moment. It wants to, believe it or not, it wants to rip our throats out, but because there's no navigational mesh which tells him where he can and cannot go, he kind of stands in his place until you get right up to him, which is the only chance he'll get to actually doing damage to you. So write that down as, I guess, a bug in the game currently, but also something that will be fixed once our wonderful nav meshing team gets around to putting the nav mesh down for the area.
I see a question about weapon and armor meshes, and how many of them are done. I
Can
believe
we,
we've got...
sorry to interrupt, I think we need to put a pin in that, because there's someone here in the inn that I really, really want to talk to. It's the weird cat lady standing on the chair. She must have something important to say if she's standing upright like that.
Can you help me find my lost jumbo potatoes?
See, my Elder Scroll senses were tingling, and I was right. This lady needs help. And who else but the hero of Gavach to help her out with jumbo potatoes.
Please.
These
you must
potatoes
help me
gave
find
me so much bother because I kept inputting them wrong and they kept crashing the game.
I don't know what I'll do.
It can be
How
very finicky.
stupid I was to leave them outside all alone.
But they're now finally fixed, so now I
All
can
wanted
sleep.
to do was give them some sun. Next thing I knew, they were gone. I saw someone running off to the west, but I'm too frightened to journey into the woods alone. Please, can you help me? I'll pay you well, I swear.
Okay. Well, no hero would decline a sweet old cat lady to help find her jumbo potatoes, especially if there's gold involved. Apparently all we have to do is go west to find the person who ran away with her prized potatoes. It should be right this way. I think we found the culprits. Wow, that was fast. No, I wanted to. Okay, we gotta do this again. I wanted to actually show off the ogre, but the fire atronek or the frost atronek, that boy moved fast.
I don't think I'll be able to play this quest because I've really empathised with the ogre. He saw big potatoes and he took them.
Yeah, he wants you to want to keep them.
Well, a hero's gotta do what a hero's gotta do, you know? If it has big teeth and looks like a monster, you need to treat it like a monster. But yeah, the someone said the nav mesh does look like a lot of work. It is. It's quite a big task for us to complete. Mainly because the nav meshing team is unable to do any work until areas are completely finished. So this area has been finished, and the nav mesh has been started on the region. But most of the focus currently has been on Blackwood and areas of the map that have been finished a longer while ago. The ogre was actually made by a mother by the name of Fourth Unknown. We were making our own, actually, but he made an ogre that looked just as good, if not better. We asked if we could use him, and he was kind enough to say yes. You'll see a couple of his creatures actually in the game when you get to play it in 2025.
2025.
All right, let's,
oh my god.
Let's talk to this lady about her potatoes.
You have them. I can sense they're with you. Oh my goodness, you found them. Oh, I could kiss you. As promised,
I love her face expression.
I present you with my first batch of famous potato bread, more valuable than gold. Enjoy. Safe journey to you.
And I think this may be why in Elder Scrolls games we have a distrust for Khajiit, because when they tell you that they will reward you handsomely, they end up giving you potato bread. Had we known that from the start?
I would be ecstatic if someone gave me potato bread in real life.
Well, I guess that's the difference between you and I.
Much more valuable than money.
I have an expensive hobby. You know, I need to collect all the unique weapons from the shops in Oblivion, that cost like 10 to 50,000 gold sometimes. It's an expensive hobby. I can't pay them in potato bread. You know, I gotta pay them in clink coin. If time allows, could you check out the Cloud Ruler Temple as well as the area around the new windmill in the Imperial City? If time allows, yeah. If people stick around and we see that stopping the stream would be a crime, we'll keep going for as long as we can. I'll try to show off some of the areas you've requested.
Yeah. Dive Rock was one of the most requested also.
Yeah, I saw Dive Rock popping up a couple times.
Yeah.
It's in a bit. It's not quite finished, I don't think.
No, I guess the view is what they're requesting.
Yeah,
from
the view is there. The view is there.
The
for
view
sure.
is there.
I think there's a good question that sort of tells you that. Why are the mountains so tall? Riesele might want to talk a bit on the elevation, sort of how the maps transferred over.
The mountains in distance.
In the distance and where we're standing right now.
So we have both the Gerald Mountains and the Valos Mountains. So the Valos Mountain in Oblivion was really not... Well, there wasn't really anything there, to be honest. And so we have actually, well, improved on the area. We added a bit of a mid-transition to the area, so there's like not a sharp edge between Shading Hall and up to the mountain with snow. So there's like a nice, clean transition.
And it is, I think, the same Z level as Oblivion.
Yeah.
I
Roughly,
think
yeah.
the difference is just in the newer Skyrim engine.
Yeah.
It just seems like you're a lot higher.
Yeah, yeah. The map should adhere to the same size as Oblivion in height and everything.
On top of that, in Oblivion there were no mountain meshes, so the
That too.
mountains you saw in the distance were basically hills with boulders every once in a while. And because, you know, Skyrim has proper mountains, we're able to make the mountains look higher and more rocky, more impressive. Talking about, you mentioned random events. I'm not sure if this counts as a random event, but this is something that I quite like. It's a bit of an Easter egg, if you will. Temple of Doom, anyone? Indiana Jones? And now for the reward. 1 golden nugget. Nice. Poor guy. Here we can see the city of Breville in the distance.
There a question there which I think is always going to be one of my favourite questions, which was, have you heard of the High Elves? And that just made me think of the awesome, funny, random encounters.
Yep.
It makes me think of the
Actually-
Lefebvres.
Oh, I think that is them. I think that's not even from Oblivion.
Nope.
But,
So that's the fun thing, is that line became quite a meme in the Elder Scrolls and Oblivion community, but the line doesn't exist in the game. Actually, it's made up.
I think our favourite ones are probably "I love dogs, doesn't everyone?" and the guy who walks around town telling people that he doesn't want to know them. I think might be definitely my idol there.
We've arrived at the city of Breville, by the way, which you may recognize from our dev diary. We did a dev diary where we showed off the city of Breville, and because of that, I'm going to recommend you check out the video if you want to see what it looks like on the inside. And in the meantime, take you elsewhere. Also, here is the new carriage system we have in the game. Obviously using Skyrim, which is a little bit broken, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to turn that guy around.
I actually want to take you to Fathis Aarons' tower. Oh, and this has to be my favorite load screen in the game. Perfect.
But yes, you can use carriages now to travel between the larger cities.
Oh, AI is not really working yet probably because of the enough meshes, as he said.
Proper shootout.
Oblivion will have full.
But the bow guy can attack. After all, doesn't have to go to you.
This is actually a quest location in the game that I quite like, because it's one of the few forts that is more or less a tower. Because this one is actually called Fathis Aarons' tower, and not Fathis Aarons' fort. And a fort is not a tower. And I will die on that hill.
True.
So a very good question. Are there new voice lines for carriage drivers? And I will say,
yes.
what we did was we went through all of the dialogue list.
Yeah, so we basically spliced Oblivion voice lines.
And I think there were some fun, heavy ones that I suggested. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if they ended up in the final product.
Yeah, they did. So
Oh,
Doig helped me.
brilliant.
I've just going through the long list of voice lines in this game. So we picked out quite few. So you have like nice, quirky lines from them when they start driving. Like, have you ever been to Broome? I hear it's pretty cold, and stuff like that.
Talking about Bruma, we're not gonna go there. We're gonna go someplace else. We are gonna go to Water's Edge. More lovely artwork.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, I do really love the loading screens we got. This is, by the way, the settlement that you saw in the trailer, but most of you probably won't recognize it because in the trailer it's on fire. And that is because, I don't want to spoil the exact events that happen here because I'm sure not everyone has played it. But at some point in Oblivion, you will go here for a quest. And the town will be under siege. It will be attacked by ominous men in dark cladded armor. I think some of you will. Another interesting thing is that something that Skyrim had, which I quite liked, is that Skyrim had border gates. So close to the border of a different region, such as Cyrodiil, where we're in now, Skyrim would put down a gate which walled off the province you were in currently with the other province, which you obviously cannot travel to. And we like that idea so much that we've done something very similar. So beyond this gate, actually, is the mysterious land of Elsewhere, of the Khajiit cat people, which is a warmer climate. It has lovely oases and deserts, pine forests, and you can get basically a taste of it through the metal bars, because this is as far as we can go.
Oh,
It does look very inviting, though, I will say.
That's quite cool.
That's definitely one of my favorite memories of playing Skyrim back in 2011, which is going down south and everything starts being less snowy and more Cyrodiilic. That was very cool.
Yeah. And I can imagine for people playing through this area of the game, so in front of us is Blackwood, which is the marsh of Cyrodiil. The area we're going to be running through right now, it's pretty mellow compared to further into the swamps. This area I would still consider to be quite nice looking, but it gets very damp, it gets very dark, and it gets very rainy the further you go east. One of the upsides, though, of Blackwood is the city of Leyawiin, which in lore is a very important trade city, actually, because it is situated on the river that leads into Cyrodiil and eventually into the Imperial City. So for trading, it's a very, very important location, and because of that, we have rebuilt it. Ironically, the new Leyawiin that we made is based off of concept art by the concept artist for Oblivion itself. I assume due to time constraints or hardware limitations of the time, they were not able to make the city the way they envisioned it. But that's a perfect excuse for us to try
that's super cool.
Make it a reality. As you can see, currently we don't have distant LOD for the city, so it kind of pops in as you get close. That's one of the things we have to generate when time comes. For now, it doesn't look too pretty, but it just works. So at least we have that. Also, our bug fixing team will have a good time putting these back into the ground where they belong.
They're magic, flying mushroom style, they're meant to be like that.
Oh, sorry, my bad. It's not a bug, it's a feature. I forgot.
It's fantasy world.
That's on me.
I think we hadn't asked, do you send me a message saying someone's asked for the truncheon of submission car?
Oh, I do quite like that weapon.
It's just a
It's
hand to
unique
slap
model made by Shadow.
people.
Concept by Geese. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to get hit by one of these, I'll say. Seems, not sure what's worse, the pain or the humiliation of getting hit by one of these. Either way, it's not good.
Another question, will this have mods? So even though
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yep,
Because
go ahead.
we're about to start another little side quest, so we can maybe listen to the dude who needs stuff and things.
A small group of skooma dealers led by a Dunmer named Kailis Lanavo is holed up in the Greyland settlement, just up the road. I've been trying to catch Lanavo for months, but every time I approach the place, his lookout sees me, and he goes running. I need someone to go in there and put a stop to those fetchers. I don't care what it takes. We must get that point.
The armor looks a little bit ridiculous.
Bring me Lanavo's ring as proof he's been dealt with, and I'll give you the bounty on him. Be vigilant. Lanavo is a snake.
Understood. So we just got a quest, another quest. This time to do the city of Leyawiin a favor and clean up a gang of drug dealers who have a hideout near the city. According to him, it's up the road, and I wonder if that could be it.
I think I'm right in saying that armor's currently a placeholder.
Yeah, it's an armor set from Nexus, which we have been given. But the 3D artist Roy, who's done the Dagon model and also the Imperial Palace Guard, wanted to tackle the regular Legion armor set too. So in the end, his version will be put into the game. We've actually arrived at the well, house. Doesn't look too inviting, but we do know that there's I don't know, drug dealers bandits, someone in there who might want to hurt us the moment we step foot into their building. So I think we need to play this smart. I think we should go in nice and quiet. Don't make too much noise. Oh, I love this weapon so much.
That looks fun.
Well, that's now mine, as is your ring. Thank you. Not gonna lie, I was looking for an excuse to use this one. Yes, this is the mace Volendrung. It's a unique dwarven mace. Look it up on UESP. The lore for this is fantastic. It apparently is the hammer that fell. And as I mentioned earlier, we have all these cool new enchantments for Daedric artifacts, and one of them is for Volendrung, which, if you use it, will literally make the ground shake and tremble. But only if you stand still and using a power attack. If you do a moving power attack, it'll be a regular hammer. I mean, it'll be a powerful hammer, but it won't do this. Oh, I mean, this. But yeah, I think that's one of the coolest additions we made in the last year. People sometimes ask what your favorite part is of Skyblivion. I think it changes every year, but last year my favorite part of the project was the Daedric artifacts getting all their cool magic effects that we have in the game now. Like, that was... I honestly, I would not have thought of some of the unique enchantments that Arif Septums came up with. He is a genius. And talking about genius, we actually had our first crash. Thanks, Todd. Intermission time. Question time. Time to like the stream, like the trailer. Check it out.
Own Oblivion, us in the visage, our main MVP, as Rebel says, and then.
Good that we crashed because I forgot to hand in our quest. I got distracted by the beautiful city of Leywin and thought I would just walk right in.
I see a question about goblins, specifically the mechanics such as like clans and the goblin wars that were in Oblivion. So we have gone above and beyond to distinguish the different goblin clans from each other. It's way more visually noticeable than it was in... So if you take a goblin's shaman staff from one tribe and leave the shaman alive, they will go out of their way to reclaim it from wherever you leave it.
That's cool.
So
I kind of know this one by heart.
I salute you in the name of the Legion. Here is your well-earned reward.
I think I should work. Hey, it works. So now we have to figure out why there was a crash that is not reproducible this time around.
Yeah, I will take a look at it after.
Yeah. Again, one of the reasons why we put a 2025 release year on the mods, so we can figure stuff like this out. Having said that, we have arrived in the city of Leywin, currently in the upper class district. You saw this in the trailer. Something you don't see that was in the trailer was a lot of people walking around. That's because, again, there currently is no nav mesh in this build, which means that people are in their homes and they kind of don't know how to get out. As far as they know, they've been imprisoned into a plane of Oblivion itself, and they're just sitting there watching time go by. So we'll leave them to it, and I'll just focus on showing off the new redesigned city. What I talked about earlier is the redesign based on the Oblivion concepts, which had these passageways for ships to go in and out of the city, which would allow them to deliver goods, take new goods with them into the Imperial City, or even go out of the land of Cyrodiil to borders beyond, like, I don't know, Hammerfell, you name it. In the middle of the city we have the Temple District, which houses, well, the cathedral and the castle. I originally wanted to show you the castle because we started working on the interiors, but I was unable to get the interior files into the latest build of the game on time. So we'll just save that for another developer diary or a different showcase. Team, find DKeys, and I'm sure that if you watch his latest video or his latest stream archive, you can see a little bit what the castles will look like in the near future. I actually never took the route here. I didn't know there was a gate. Wow.
Question on new quests, and I believe we're just sticking to the initial Oblivion quests, but I think that's still a very healthy number.
Oh yeah.
Off the top of my head, the number in that things like the quests, one developer is working entirely as long as in the quest department, and we will have well over, well no, we do have well over half the quests in a playable state currently.
That place looks nice.
Yeah, which is, to be honest, a major milestone. Because I remember, I don't know, the last 5 years, my main concern being that quests were just not going to go anywhere because they didn't seem to be going anywhere, and all of a sudden, you know, we're shooting off. Something to mention quickly: we're in the lower class district. There's issues with these doors because they've been replaced. Because of that, they don't look that nice. But it will be fixed. Also, something that I find very funny, looking back, is that Fishfiend and myself met each other at PAX East in 2019. At the time, you were not working on Skyblivion, you were just an Elder Scrolls fan who had made mods. I think we hung out for 3 days, and fairly soon after a lovely PAX, you joined the project, and I think you've done, what, like 30% of the quests in the game? I think would be a fair estimate.
Currently, I've implemented, let's say, just under 50, around the 50 mark of quests. So, yeah, between a third and a quarter, somewhere around there.
I need to go to PAX East more often. It paid off for sure. Oh, this one is so good as well. I love the artwork. I love the loading screen so much. I haven't seen this one actually, so screenshot. We're actually gonna go to Periite's Shrine. This is one of the locations. At the beginning of the stream I mentioned we wanted to show you the good and the bad, the finished and the unfinished. And that's an area that I think, or this is an area that I think, it shows it off perfectly. We have a very, very cool looking location on our hands here. And we're actually going to go into the realm of Periite as well in a second, which is a unique Daedric realm. But yeah, as you can see, the location around it is not great. We have NPCs who are T-posing. That is actually by design, because these NPCs are frozen in time. It's part of the quest. What's not part of the quest, though, is the location of the shrine. It's a bug, because the new quest was merged. Let me show you where the statue and the NPCs are supposed to be.